Hi, I'm Duncan from Shegulls, and today we're going to be speaking to Julie Hemsley, former Albion player, coach, manager, assistant manager of England team, England Lioness, about her life and career and everything in between. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, Julie, about you playing for England, and obviously, that's why you're over at the moment. Is you're going to be collecting your legacy cap, which this is going to date when we're recording, but it's against the USA tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow evening. So, how was the sort of experience? Obviously, you then went on and became the assistant manager. But what was it like to play for the England team, and how was it being on? Obviously that was the initial experience you had, was playing, and then managing, being the assistant manager. How was that sort of?
Well, back in the 80s, I guess, I think it was 82, 84 that I got my call up. Training was tough. And I was thankful for people because I wouldn't have been able to get there if people hadn't taken me. So all this kind of, putting it back. And I went to one training session and I remember a couple of the players, they sorted us out, like, who's this little one coming up here thinking they can get in. It was tough, but it was scary, enjoyable, to actually get to go on in Pescara, Italy, is where I got my cap, and I ended up playing left back, which I was a centre midfielder, but I didn't mind. If you want me playing left back, I'll play left back. I hated it. And I was right-footed. I soon learned to use my left foot. So yeah, it was really good. The transfer from playing to coaching, I was always interested in coaching. Well, I say I was always interested. I probably got put in the deep end because, can you do a session for me, or can you do this, or can you take the reserves? And so I did. And when I went to England, I would write the sessions down so I would remember them, that I could take back to the club. So that was quite good. Obviously, coaching my peers and players that I played with was a bit odd for both of us, really. But I was the assistant, so it makes it easier. But I just got on with my job. And they always knew I was a little bit overzealous in making sure things are done right. And even then, I think I was a little bit of a pawn, because I could go and say things back to the FA that needed to be said on behalf of the girls. And I'm all for that. If it helps the girls, the women, get better and get treated better, then I would always do it. Sacrificial lamb, if you like.
Well, they obviously needed someone to take the bull by the horns, as it were. So
certainly did, and rightly or wrongly, you end up where you end up.
And do you sort of feel like you should have, or you would obviously have liked to have had more England caps, but you're kind of, that's life sort of to it, or?
Well, unfortunately, I broke my kneecap, so I got my, obviously weren't in recommendation for that or any fit state, to be honest. And I think, it does affect you. And I got a bad head injury as well, which made things worse. But then, players, there was a lot of good midfield players. Debbie Bampton, Gillian Coulthard. In fact, I think I got in, Sue Lopez actually put me forward for England. And then I think when Debbie come back from playing in Spain, that was it. Well, we've got Debbie back now. So, and I got injured. So I would talk to the coach and he'd see me at games and you're playing really well. It did teach me, though, that you can't promise things because, it was like, yeah, I promise you'll be back soon, And so you live on that. and then it never happened. So I learned from my coaching career that you don't make promises. You just, and you have an expectation that if it falls short, you know, you're in a position where you should encourage and then, you know, do what you say, really. But I mean, just loads of people would love to have done what I've done with England. I mean, you know, I would have liked to got more caps, and I think I was good enough at the time, but I went down a different avenue.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think that, you know, like you say, you're appreciative of what you did rather than necessarily look back at it and think what could have been. And I think that's obviously something that's important and is more recognised nowadays, that you know, there's lots of like psychologists and, you know, counselling and stuff like that for even players who get called up and then are left out and so on and so forth, or they yo-yo in between the youth teams or whatever it may be. Obviously back then it was you kind of had to almost do that yourself, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
self-counselling or self-reflection, all these big buzzwords they use these days. Yeah, I mean, that's what your friends are for, your teammates. You know, sometimes your teammates are kind, sometimes they're not. You know, I mean, sometimes they want to put you in your place. So you think you're good now, you just played for England, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's nothing like that at all, really. It's perception.
Yeah, exactly.
But for the most part, we're all proud of our achievements, and they're part of it because they make you good and they make you bad. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine somebody like Farah who's got all those caps. I mean, I remember being in Dublin when she's playing for U16s, and I knew then she was going to be, you know, a great player. So, but all those times, amazing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is incredible. Yeah, and I think it is that other thing of, like, you know, it's almost, you go through and you have your club career and all your achievements and everything, and just to be able to say that you played for England in whatever capacity, and obviously you went on to become assistant manager too. So, yeah, it's
yeah,
incredible.
I'm quite proud of it, really.
Yeah,
I just,
absolutely.
you know, my family was very supportive, and my friends, player, colleagues, you know, like I say, I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere if somebody hadn't given me a ride up or you know, been supportive that way.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it. We pass it on.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well that obviously, you know, I think Angie it would be great to do one of these with Angie that we did in the summer. If anyone, you know, is watching this and they were here, they would have heard about it. But obviously with her England career kind of didn't go as the way that she wanted it to go either. So without kind of, you know, spoiling that story, it's just a different experience for different people, isn't it? And, you know, you have to take it at face value. And
you do. But I happened to have a nice day with Angie and her daughter at St George's Park, where we met the Lionesses and and I felt like a proud mum in a way, because I had Angie there and I had her daughter Bella, and she's getting all these signatures, and of course her favourite got whisked off to do an interview. So little Belle was crying. I thought, well, that's just so passionate that she just that's what she wanted. She wanted to meet this particular player. But the 7 that come afterwards, one of them says, "Well, don't I matter then?" And I'm like, "This is great. This is just normal people."
Exactly.
And you do matter, and it's all about the game, and it's all about wanting kids to come up. I mean, it's just a fantastic day, and we got to spend that together, and I thought it was great. I thought, this is really nice.
Yeah, it's nice to have that sort of, you know, like you say, the kind of legacy, and that they still kind of look after you when you are involved with the England
definitely.
team.
I mean, can't fault anything but you know, good memories and good days. You know, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It's been a while coming. I mean, I've been trying to get back and forth for a couple of. It's not easy to keep flying over, but this is a bit special, and there's 10 of us, and we're going to be in the Royal Box at Wembley, which I haven't been in for a long time. Actually, the new Wembley, I don't think I've ever been in there. So it's going to be really, well, apart from a tour we did, which I'd encourage anyone to do that. That Wembley tour is fantastic. So
yeah, that'll be a fantastic moment. If you need any attaches or anything, I think
I've
there's
got
a few
one.
volunteers.
I've got one. Yeah.
So we're talking about England, so we'll segue off slightly into sort of the England team at the moment, how you sort of see them. Euro 2022, obviously we won World Cup, got to the final. Been one or two sort of minor hiccups of late, but how do you think they are sort of set going forward into the next couple of tournaments?
Well, I think this is a perfect time to try new players that have been on the fence coming up through the teams below, and they've been very successful. So let's give them a chance. Blending in again with people coming back from injuries, as always, people have got to find their feet again. I like Serena a lot. I think she has a great knowledge on different styles and what's needed at the time. And I think England will always be a force. I think other countries have got themselves better, and their pathways are now fruition with players coming through. We have a lot of depth, I think, a lot of depth in the squad, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play and how she's going to play tomorrow. Of course, you got Emma on the other side.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and obviously they're missing one or two of their sort of headline stars, but I think probably because of the proximity of the game to the NWSL final, which was probably only a week or week and a half ago. So
yeah,
yeah,
Marta gets a win.
She's the GOAT in my opinion.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's the GOAT. I mean, she's still sitting people on their backside. I don't. Is she 40 now? 41? I can't.
She can be whatever age she
exactly,
likes.
Exactly. Yeah. She'll be 80 and still sitting people on their backside, or whatever she's doing at the time. Yeah. So do you get to see like the Albion much? I mean, obviously all the WSL games are broadcast, but
yeah,
time
I can
difference.
Stream games if I've got the time. Sometimes on Peacock, which is a channel over there. So I've watched a few. I mean, I like watching live games. So unfortunately, nearly every time I come over, it's out of season or it's international break.
Yeah.
So I've managed to skip on a plane and get to the Sunday's game against Leicester in the cup. So that was nice, but generally I don't have time to watch games. I mean, I'm busy with my little club. We've only got about 700 kids, but it's still 700 kids that take up my time, and I'm mentoring coaches and trying to get money, fundraising. I mean, all the things that the old-fashioned teams that over here, and I'm sure some of them still do, but I love it. It's community. We've got community values. I'm actually trying to get them to support Brighton Hove Albion. Like fans.
Yeah,
so especially the girls. When I go back, the girls will be, looking at we'll probably sit and watch a game together in a nice Florida heat.
Yeah, I must admit, there's quite a big I say big, it's a growing following in the States for the Albion men's team. I think there's a couple of supporters clubs over there.
Yeah, I think the fan zone, they call them fan zones,
yeah,
don't they? When the game's on, I haven't been to one, but I might try and get to one.
Yeah.
But you've got Peter Ward up in Tampa. We've actually met a couple of times, him and I, reminiscing about Brighton. It's been great.
Well, it's good to hear that people from Brighton or with their Brighton links are meeting all over the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If not on Instagram, or not that I do Instagram, to be honest, I'm not really technically minded like that, but I do the old Facebook and that kind of thing. Yeah, a lot of our players a lot of our former players still go and support the teams, both teams, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when again, it's just another sort of thing that shows that they still love the game. They still love Brighton.
It's all about Brighton. It's all about football, and it's being part of it. I always try and say to people that it's family. It's an extended part of your family. I mean, I remember us going to Holland, one of our trips. We had everybody staying at our house, and we're sewing on badges on our warm-ups because we haven't had time to do it, or they've only just come in. And then my mum and dad are making eggs and bacon, and You know, I mean, it was just fun. You
Yeah.
just like sleep on the floor, you know, whatever, and it's just good memories, really.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Because I think you wouldn't necessarily say that you would want people to have the same challenges that you faced when you were coming through the ranks and things like that. But then equally, you've got so many of these memories that are so fantastic.
Oh, some of the stories.
Yeah, that you do sort of want them to have that,
Yeah.
somehow. So I think that's why, some people say, and I think in general, and there is a lot of crossover with the men's game with standards and ethics and things like that. But I think, and this is something we discuss quite a lot in terms of the women's game, there is a big part of it that we need to keep as the women's game and not lose it to commercialism and some of these things. You were talking about meeting the players and stuff. My eldest goes down and wants to meet the players every time and get her autographs, and she got her photo with Nikita Paris the other day, and she's so chuffed.
Yeah.
She hasn't got Fran. She's desperate to meet Fran, so we'll try and make that happen. But and she's got a pair of like Vicky Losada's boots that she's begged me for Christmas to buy her a display case for.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, but idols.
Yes.
Like when I was growing up, we were growing up. I mean, Brian Robson was my idol.
Yeah.
Players like that. And then, you just, some of the women's, like Gillian Coulthard's always been a idol of mine in a way. And I got to play on the same team, play against and coach. So, I mean, that's like, but meeting your idols now and having role models. Role models, we always thought was important, for anyone to want to do it. I want to be like that. But to get a shirt and some of, all these boys wearing these women's shirts, amazing. So football's always football. It's just that we do end up trying to classify what's men's football and classify as what women's football. Well, guess what? It's just football.
Yeah.
I mean, we got brought up watching the game, and it's the game that we love.
Yeah.
We're passionate about. What we have to do to drive it forward to make sure that, it's acceptable and people want to play for whatever reasons they want to play, just because they love the game or they want to be a superstar. Or if you're not a superstar, you just want to have a job in football. You can get a job in football now. It's incredible. And a lot of non-football people that are in high jobs actually are important because they're better at marketing because they have no bias. They're better at trying to maybe get money out of grants and anything you can get a little pot of gold that you can help. And we used to do trolley races down the seafront. For goodness sake, we used to go around the pubs and on bonfire night we're dressed up, begging. You get money. It was crazy. Now you just write a letter or it sounds good, you might get $1,000 £1,000 grant. I do it over there. I try and get money all the time for because we have, community clubs have low income families, and that's a bit like starting here.
Of course.
Where, okay, children don't have to pay. Children, I say youngsters, anyone not working. So where are we going to get it from? How are we going to subsidise? And we found a way. Kit. We used to have to buy a kit. Brighton Hove Albion still bought their own kit. It wasn't until later on. I mean, I actually bribed the kit man with a pack of pale ale to get warm-ups. So we'd turn up to training one day up at Sussex University. We were at Sussex University before the guys were too. Because I used to go and say, like, I'll come and do some coaching here. Let's use the facilities. And I turn up with Johnny Burns' ex-kit, warm-up suit. And so I think Dino grabbed that one. Yeah, it's great, and I had Liam Brady on mine. It's baggy like this, and so big, but we all look rotten, worn out, falling down. It's great.
Yeah, but it was the kit. So
then they all thought, Coach, you did this for us. And I said, yeah, I want us to. We're Brighton Hove Albion. We've all got to be proud of it. And then of course we got different stuff. Yeah. It was good.
I mean, you were saying about sort of raising money, and we've recently had a bit of success. I don't know if I'd say it's success, but through the club But I think from encouragement from the fan base, including obviously Shegulls, the fan advisory board and stuff, we've managed to, or the club have successfully managed to get our coaches for the rest of the London games, for the rest of the WSL sponsored, which makes it not quite so so costly. So yeah, the club shirt sponsor, the sleeve sponsor, Kissimmee, are going to be putting some money in towards the coaches, so that basically, instead of it being sort of £20 an adult, £15 a child, it's half that, which means you can take the family and it's still reasonable. So we are still kind of going round now, going, can we have some money, please?
But it's so important to offer coaches for fan base, because it's safety.
Yeah.
You know, they're all together. They're not going to, you know, make their own way up there. They won't go.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's great. And I'm sure there's buttons been pushed to get that, and they should be pushed, because, you know, young kids, women, families, you know, they want to go up and have an enjoyable time. And you talk about environments, the right environment, we have to create it. And then once you create it, you've got to keep doing it. You can't just say, well, that happened there, you know, well, two people short, so we can't do it again. Just do it. And this is what I find through the years. By doing things, you make things better.
Yeah.
And then you just got to keep at it. Yeah. Which is, you know, when I was on the council, that made a difference. You know, 91 men and little Julie, you know, but it was great, because I was used to moving in the circles with guys, and they wanted to know about women's football. Yeah. But I told them to go watch and then come back and talk to me about it. And they did. Yeah. And they said, oh, we watched a game at our county the other day. It was great. We loved it. I said, well, keep going.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Perseverance is a big part of it, isn't it? You know, and then eventually, hopefully, you get where you want to go. So,
or you got to take another road.
That's very true.